we'll have to go on with our second session. Now, this is a very interesting session, which is reinventing offices, retail, and warehousing for a changing India. So, this focus areas include GCC expansion, hybrid work models, premium experiential retail, India's manufacturing-led warehousing boom, and emerging commercial asset classes such as data centers and life science facilities. With this, I would like to call upon the moderator, Mr. Hardeep Singh. Mr. Hardeep Singh, can you join us on the stage, please? Mr. Hardeep Singh from CBRE, can you join me on the stage, please? Okay, just to give you an insight about Hardeep. Hardeep is a Senior Executive Director from CBRE India. He is the Head Industrial and Logistics Services and leads the business for North India at CBRE. Hardeep has an overall experience of 13 years in real estate with CBRE. He specializes in business development, business management, and designing solutions for customers, and is actively involved in several key accounts. Hardeep, thank you very much. Please have a seat, Hardeep. Hardeep, thank you very much. He's our moderator for the day today. Okay, next we have Mr. Salil Kumar. Just to give you the introduction about him, he's the Marketing and Business Management Director from CRC Group, and he's a seasoned strategist with over a decade of experience in the real estate sector. He plays a key role in driving the company's growth through his expertise in sales, leadership, marketing strategy, project design, and business development. And with a strong academic background in chemical engineering and physical sciences, Mr. Kumar brings a unique analytical perspective to real estate leadership. His strategic vision and commitment to excellence continue to shape CRC Group's success and contribute meaningfully to the growth of India's real estate ecosystem. अब मैं आगे तब बढ़ता हूं जब एक बार इनके लिए तालियां बजेंगी, please. Can I have a round of applause for him? Guys, you want to take a break, lunch break after 45 minutes. It's only possible अगर हम सब लोग बैठ जाएंगे, उससे जल्दी possible नहीं हो पाएगा. Can I request all the people present inside this room to please either have a seat or maybe your conversations can go outside this room. Can I request that, please? It's a genuine request which is coming from a person who's trying to, play the role of a sutradhar out here. Can I request people to sit down, please? Thank you. And for those of you who want to take your card exchanges, can I request you to please take them outside if it is not a botheration. Okay, the next panelist is Mr. Sriram Monga. Sriram Monga is a co-founder and principal consultant at SRED India, specializing in destination-led retail and mixed-use developments. He has advised developers, investors, and public bodies on high-performing commercial assets for over 2 decades. A very, very dear friend from the last 10 years plus, Sriram Monga. Can I have a round of applause for all these people sitting on the stage, please? And for those of you having tea, I am sure you can sit down and have tea as well. अपनी चाय ले लीजिए और आ जाइए. Can I request people at the back to please have their seats? Okay, but okay. The next one to join us on the stage is Ms. Megha Agarwal, who's the CMO for Table Space. Megha is a distinguished marketing expert with over 16 years of experience in driving brand growth and innovation across diverse sectors, including FMCG and managed office solutions. Currently serving as the Chief Marketing Officer at Table Space, she is instrumental in shaping the company's marketing strategy as it embarks on the next growth phase. Can I have a round of applause for her? Zordar, please. Zordar at the back. मैं ये जब तक नहीं मानूंगा जब तक वो पीछे वाले खड़े वाले जितने लोग हैं ना वो ताली नहीं बजाएंगे जितने खड़े हुए लोग हैं. Can we have a round of applause for Megha, please? नहीं मानते हैं हम लोग, सच में नहीं मानते हैं. Okay, and last but not the least, we have Mr. Pranav Bhalla, Head of Research and Advisory Wing at CRE Matrix, joining us on the stage. Pranav is a seasoned real estate professional with over 14 years of experience across research, advisory, and market intelligence in India's property sector. He's currently leading the Research and Advisory Wing Okay, that says raw, by the way. Huh? So I would be careful. I would not say raw. Okay, this is what it says, raw. So at CRE Matrix, I hope it's not the other one, but yeah, it's not the other one.
It's the safer one.
It's a safer one? Even that is a safe one, buddy. So I'll go with that one as well, don't worry. And where he has spent the last 8 years delivering high-impact market studies and strategic consulting assignments. So over to you, my dear friend Hardeep, to take this discussion forward on a diverse topic, which is offices, retail, and warehousing for a changing India.
Thank you so very much. A warm welcome to everybody. I recollect from the session in the morning, Mr. Bakshi was talking about kache makan, fir pakke makan, or fir Rashtrapati Bhavan, and so much of the real estate all across. Am I better now? Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I'll start again. Mr. Bakshi was referring to kache makan, pakke makan, the Rashtrapati Bhavan, the real estate which has grown so much and so many folds all across. This was something which I picked early this morning, and I was just trying to think that, I was not even born from the era that he belongs to, and the kind of thought he kind of gestured and provided on the particular topic of real estate. So, all of us here together, we all come with one thought in mind. Offices are not the same the way we used to go for work. Retail is no more a place for selling alone. And so are various asset classes which are transforming the commercial real estate space. With this today, and without further ado, I would like to pick on the brains of the expert panelists here to hear from them. Because the panelists represent the developers fraternity, the occupiers, the GCC, which is transforming the commercial real estate retail spaces moving along. So, I would like to start with Mr. Monga, because this is, we were in fact having a conversation before we started the session. Offices, retail, and transit are converging faster than ever. So, Mr. Monga, hybrid work has changed office footfall patterns, directly impacting the retail landscape. How do you view that, and how would you like to address that?
First of all, thank you, ICC and Kunal, for such a welcoming. I feel the future of any consumption pattern which is happening.
May I request esteemed audience to keep silence, please? May I request, please, everybody, a lot of noises there coming, please. Thank you.
So I would like to, put some thoughts together on the transit and how the convergence of retail and office spaces are happening. There is a strong consumption pattern which has been developed over a period of time, where the office going class has emerged as the largest consumption class in terms of any retail or consumption story which we have seen. When it converges together, when traditionally retail works on certain time of the family where they're available to go out, but when the transit and the office comes together, it becomes like a whole day ecosystem wherein the aspect of consumption is raised by many-fold. So from this point of view, I think the consumption story of any major metro city where the office environment and working class is eminently placed, I think retail and transit will all grow together.
Excellent point. We've been speaking about data being the new gold. And, I was fortunate that I got hold of Pranav from CRE early this morning. Pranav, I would like to pick your brains to, understand how is What lens do you look the India's commercial real estate market today? Does it seem to be more disciplined in terms of growth, or are we, starting to see pockets of over optimization?
Okay, thank you so much, ICC, for bringing us here. Hardeep, it is not at all over-optimism. Look at data. Anuj sir said in the morning that 80 million square feet, first time ever. So let data only answer that question. The supply was 70 million square feet, right? So if we are over, we are above supply in every year of the past 5 to 10 years, then it's actually demand-led growth, right? And let's look at the numbers again. We have touched 1 billion square feet of office space. Look at where US or China is, 2.5 times, 5 times. So there's a lot of headroom for growth. And when you look at the number of cities of 30 million square feet in India, we are just eight of us, right? But if you count how many cities are there in US which are above 30 million square feet, about 50 odd cities. So there's a lot of room for growth, especially in tier 2 cities for commercial real estate.
So Pranav, picking on that, what does your data tell you? Which asset class is the most stretched right now?
Most stressed?
Stretched.
Okay. I would say offices are going at a very, very steady growth rate. One of the asset classes, which is data centers, has not been talked about. And there's a massive upside for data centers, which we can see in future. Let's not even look at US or China. Okay, let's look at Germany. And let's just compare two numbers. We are a 1.4 billion population. Our gigawatt capacity is somewhere around 1.5. Germany is 0.08 in population, and gigawatt capacity is 2.25. Right? So that's a 30x growth right in front of us, and data centers in India have just started. Mind you, what happens is that institutional capital will flow towards all these under-penetrated markets, because our penetration rate for internet is about 75%. Developed markets are somewhere around 95%. But what will happen is that you're looking at Navi Mumbai right now becoming the data center hub. But a lot of water shortage problem will happen with all this, right? So what we recommend at CRE is that look at the Sagarmala cities and then develop the data center cities there. So that's what my recommendation for commercial.
Thanks, Pranav. So Megha, from the operator side, does this assessment align with what you're seeing on the GCC's demand on ground?
No, actually, it's perfect to follow Pranav's narrative on this, because what's really happened is India has moved from becoming the back office to the world to the GCC capital of the world. For Flex as a category, which has been at a CAGR level growing above 20%, it is becoming a strong 10% of the larger commercial real estate. It is a category which is doing phenomenally well. Within that, brands like Tablespace, which operate enterprise managed solutions, are 70% of Flex solutions. Of that, 40% is driven by GCCs. So GCCs are really driving scale, speed, growth of enterprise managed solutions in the country today. And there are two strong reasons to why this is happening. One, there is institutionalization that's happening of this asset class, right? Let me explain this to you. When GCCs come to India, they are large organizations globally. So they want their offices to work like headquarters. They want to stay there for 10 years. But at the same time, they want flexibility that a flex operator can operate, because they might start with a 40 talent count, move to 400 in less than a year. So look at the spectrum with which they need to really operate. So they want permanence, yet flexibility, and that comes in with the kind of real estate options that are available in India today. So this is the flexibility paradox, but I think what we are able to do as operators in this country is really give GCCs an advantage, an option to come, set shop, scale, and move with real speed, no matter how they want to scale today in one city or across cities. So that's really the operator advantage at play.
So I was, when you were talking, I was thinking I'll ask you how is Tablespace adapting to the new demands that the market is presenting. But thanks, you covered it all in one go, which is excellent. So we are saving time. I know it's lunchtime soon and people are hungry here. So Sajid sir, I would like to, in continuation to what Megha just said, as GCCs evolve and expand, how are you seeing the new trends in the office demand evolve over the years in the country?
Thank you, Hardeep. These are interesting questions, and your question was how GCC has evolved. So my answer would be GCC in the India is on the evolving stage. The only sample has been placed into the market, because if you see the whole world, so in some of my earlier interviews I have said India would be office, if you consider entire world as a one country, then India would be office capital of the GCC. And various part of GCC like pharma GCC and other part of like semiconductor part and several other part yet to largely evolve in the country. Those will be taking large space. So whatever size, like Megha has said, I'm not questioning that, but much larger version of the GCC will come definitely to the India. So this is one aspect. And second aspect is my country, which was like 1.25 trillion, say 10, 12 years back, is 4 trillion evolving to 8 trillion. So your total income of the individual has been rising consistently, so that the ambitions are. Now we used to be, I'm very pleased that we used to be earlier talking about co-working, now it's shifted to managed, then enterprise solutions, then various other enterprise and managed solutions, and subsequently curated office space will also evolved. And that means the Generation Z is opting for a much larger A-grade spaces and hassle-free spaces. They want A++ grade and over and above hassle-free spaces, which is called managed office. So currently that percentage, if you talk about Meghna, would be very, very small, about 10%, which will evolve to 70%. In future.
From 10 to 70.
10 to 70%. Because hassle-free spaces, we have money, we'll pay for that. Because our total economy of the country is rising very fast. So, in future, I'm finding severe dearth of supply of A++ grade office space compared to whatever Anu sir is not there at the moment. He must have told so many million square feet coming. But what about A++ grade, which is actually required? If you talk about your cyber hub in any of the place like Gurgaon or Hyderabad or your Noida, nowhere there is a cyber center kind of thing around sector 135, 140, that a lot many companies have evolved. So in future we'll call cyber center of Noida, something like that. So if you talk about cyber center, currently we have only A++ grade, hardly 5-10% supply is there. But actual requirement is coming 70% in future. So there is a severe shortage of A++ grade in the market. Now coming to GCC. GCC has a much larger version. Whatever the current number of GCC space in India, in next 5 to 10 years will be multiplied by at least 30-35 times. So that much supply is not currently available, because everything is rising in the current. And India, we are fortunate to born in India, we are fortunate to be Indian, and the new economy, whatever, will be very good fortunate people that we are working in India, and there is a great future ahead for office space, especially curated office spaces. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, Pranav, picking your brain on this, I know that, GCC is the word of the town. Everybody is talking about GCCs. From a data standpoint, are you seeing GCC-driven micro markets witnessing a healthier absorption than others?
Absolutely, yes. They take up larger spaces, and so let's look at GCCs. What is their contribution towards India's leasing? About 35 to 40% every year. the younger markets like Hyderabad, Navi Mumbai, these guys are they are more preferred for GCCs, right? They are relatively less expensive. They have younger buildings, they have greener buildings, and that's the reason why there's a healthy absorption of GCCs in these markets. But then there are a few pockets which are looking at slightly oversupply. It could be somewhere in Hyderabad. But that's again a function of the lower vacancies and the higher rentals in Bangalore, which will even out within the next few years. Someone would say Noida is maybe oversupplied, but with the airport coming up, you will see the tables turning there. So yeah, definitely, the answer is a big yes. GCC markets will see a massive advantage in that sense.
Great. So, in the previous session, there was a talk around trust, certainty, bureaucracy getting involved when it comes to deliverables, even the vendors, contractors getting to be a part of RERA in totality so that everybody is responsible. When we're talking of GCCs, retail, etc., I think branding, loyalty, and experience all are very important aspects from an end user perspective. So, Megha, I'm picking this on you from a flexible workspace model. Loyalty isn't just built through leases anymore. What actually drives repeat expansion and long-term relationship within enterprise clients. What's your take on that?
So I'd like to say something which I think the panel discussed, and I think Salil also covered it really nicely. There is a very powerful consumerization of this industry happening. Normally we say real estate, especially commercial real estate, is very B2B. Thanks to GCCs, thanks to the demand for grade A stock, large brands and enterprises picking on flexibility as an option. What we are really seeing is it is no longer B2B, but very clearly B2B2C. Why should, for example, to what Pranav was also saying, why is there demand for large campuses? Employee retention today is not easy. When GCCs come to the country, one of the biggest challenges for them is hiring right. And you are a new brand in the country. Why should somebody come and join you? Why should grade A talent of the country come and join somebody who's very new setting up a 30-seater, 50-seater office? All that is sort of supported by offerings that a flex operator gives. Large campuses, ecosystems, amenities. We recently launched a campus in Bangalore with amenities like pickleball court, because that's what employees really like. You're able to collaborate, you're able to engage. We call this basically retailification of workspace, hotelization of workspace. Employees should not have to come to work, they should want to come to work. And that's why most GCCs prefer enterprise managed operators, and there has been a shift, right, from co-working, which was more short term, to now enterprise managed solutions, because this is giving enterprises flexibility, keeping in mind what enterprises need in their workspaces. Grade A solutions, green certified, compliance, ESG goals, and at the same time the larger employee engagement layer, which drives loyalty. So once you're part of a campus ecosystem that, say, a table space operates, when we have a client, to the point on loyalty, the employees are used to a certain system of operation. Great location, metro connectivity. I play pickleball in the evening. They run Zumba classes for me every now and then. There is a whole curated aromatherapy program. Tomorrow, if I have to shift as company X as a GCC, my employees will not be happy leaving the campus, or the amenities that they are used to being provided by the table space team, for instance, provides loyalty. So you cannot operate as vanilla real estate anymore. You have to operate as an end-to-end ecosystem in which once the client comes in or once an occupier comes in, they should not be okay leaving. They should be wanting to grow with you, and which is why a large part of what we do is once a client comes in, it doesn't end. The operate and the experience ensures that we are closely connected with you to understand your growth plans, what you need, work closely, and scale up and scale down. So you might want to scale down as well, which is possible with managed operators in the country today. This drives loyalty.
So, I have always known experiences and real estate is mostly retail. So Sriram, from a real estate and mixed use lens, how important has experience become in driving stickiness?
See, it's a very interesting question, and I think very relevant for the time where we are, in the time where we are in. We as a community has, grown from different, different segmentation of retail. Inceptionally, retail always happened in high streets, small community centers, and because the variety of opportunities were to spend were also limited, and because of technological advancements, what we see today was not there at that time. So it was a very traditional way of going out, probably with the family, try and service the need, and then probably go to a community place like a park or such like a thing where you can spend time with the family. But as gradually things have moved forward, A-grade commercial centers have become a big part of our lives now, as whether it's a shopping mall or a mixed use development or a five-star hotel. So these are the things which are kind of moving us around in the city with the family or in a social environment. There is, from an experience point of view, the retail, the mall experience is, or a shopping experience or a consumer experience is the highest focused area for any developer to look at it at the moment. And this is how the A-grade retail aspect is moving forward, which is surrounded by a customer expectation, what the customer would want, at what time he wants, and what type of variety he wants in that given center. So that is something which brings the customer back. It becomes a habit for him to come back and again and again. And also from a community perspective, from a social perspective, he would like to do activities in a social environment in that particular center, where there is convenience, where there is experience, where there are things which he can do with the rest of the community or the people who he's coming with. So I think experiences are something which starts from the door or the entrance point, or how you ingress an asset, and the last step out of that asset is also an experience which he doesn't want to forget. So experience is everything at the moment.
Salil ji, Megha, Sriram both spoke of experiences. Are brands today also demanding higher quality buildings to ensure that the customers get the best experience as a part of their brand promise?
See, देखिए, जो हमारा रिटेल मार्केट इंडिया का, जैसे मैंने आई स्पोक अबाउट पैराडाइम शिफ्ट इन टोटल इकोनॉमी इन इंडिया, subsequently large earnings. So today a good salary, expenditure power, everything has been increased. So that the expectations are, if you see large chunk of like even NCR guys, they still go to Dubai or Italy or somewhere, various other places for shopping, because it's their demand is so that. We have again, as I repeated in the office space, there is a great shortage of experiential retail in the country. Because if you say today, few of the retail spaces, which we call it mall also, on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there is hardly space available. They are clocking a footfall of 90,000 people a day. So that means 90,000 with the economy going many-fold, in couple of years they will not sustainable to accommodate those number of people, 1.5 lakh people per day in Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you have to create a big experiential retail spaces so that my new generation who require larger spaces, after COVID everybody wants larger spaces, even in a good elevator, instead of 17 people, 10, 11 people, when it is filled, it is called filled. Definition have changed for luxury. You need wider spaces everywhere, big spaces, big showrooms. So new generation wants to have a good experiences, which incidentally looks for organic spaces too. There is a trend of organic food. So subsequently, new F&B will evolve, which will involve lot many organic foods. Subsequently, big organic spaces, you need organic box spaces, you require curated high street experiences. So various new experiential retail will evolve in the country to have a requirement of new generations. So that match has to come. And I like forecast for the new future, new 4-5 years, the shape of the retail spaces or malls would entirely be different compared to the box mall. So those will evolve, new designs will come, and that is the need of the hour, and we have got to do it. That is my statement. Thank you.
Pranav, do your data trends suggest the same optimism?
Oh yes. So just to give a number to everyone, Khan Market is at about 2,500 rupees per square feet. Milan is 8 times Khan Market. So don't think that Khan Market is overpriced. That's number one. Second, I totally agree with the panel here that experiences is everything. And what we are seeing is that office spaces which have a ground floor retail, which has experience centers, it's something very close to us. In Saket itself, there is a chocolate factory, right? Kids can go in and experience how chocolate is made. Now there, what is happening is that the office rentals are higher than the micro market. So you are commanding better office rentals because you have brought in an experience store at the ground floor. Now what is happening with, Sir said that on weekends there is no space in malls. We have our office right behind Select City Walk, and we often go on weekdays. And when the Apple phone was launched, for the entire month, there was no space even on weekdays during the afternoon hours. So what is happening is that, these experience centers, and I would call the Apple Store as an experience center, a lot of, new formats. This is the new format, and everybody is thinking, how can we provide a better experience rather than just look at, the sales in a store. Now look at what Apple has done in NCR. Their second flagship store has opened in Noida and not in Gurgaon, right? So there is a massive potential for retail still. We are just 100 million square feet of retail at a 1.4 billion population. So yeah, there's a massive room.
Yeah, what our gentleman is Pranav. See, the thing is, we are currently only 10% organized retail, only. And it has to go to, in next 7 years, at least 45-50% compared to the growth of our numbers. So that much space is not easy to get. And the second problem is, we are getting rich also apart from population. That increase of organized market from 10 to 45%, we need good spaces of retail. Good parking spaces, nice road around. So various factors are required. A good developed country have at least 70-75% organized retail. And we are definitely going to be developed country from the developing country. So big opportunity lies in the organized retail segment. Mr. Moga will definitely second my statement. Yeah.
Completely, Salilji. I think there is the way this country is laid down and the type of consumption patterns we have. I think there is a huge opportunity where the subscription level of organized retail would be much higher in the times to come. As I tell many of my colleagues that probably their kids or my kids would have no relevance in Chandni Chowk or a Lajpat Nagar High Street. I mean, why would they go there? I mean, what is there for them to explore there? And because that type of habit has not been developed, and there is nothing which they are subscribing there which is available. So what I foresee is that, the habits of the consumer, the habits of the generations which are coming would evolve around A-grade retail experiential areas They would like to work in those areas, they would like to spend time in those areas, they would like to have whatever social environment they want to create, they would like to subscribe to an area where there is convenience, experience, and time well spent.
Thanks, Sriram. That was, adding on to what Salilji said, it was very important, and you've kind of given it a holistic lens for a larger understanding. So, now as India continues to grow at the pace that India is, and we are all seeing that exponential growth, I think sustainability, risk and resilience are the buzzwords and are very, very important for all stakeholders to keep in view for whichever input they are offering or providing in the sector in the larger sense. So Pranav, which asset classes are institutional investors relying on from a sustainability and a long-term visibility perspective?
Okay, data centers, definitely. I'm just totally in awe of what the opportunity lies in. There is massive policy push on ensuring that data centers are green. They utilize solar and more renewable energy sources. So my answer is definitely data centers and green offices. So the age of green offices is obviously we've built a lot of those, but then the green leasing part has also started, right? Where the occupier also has a massive responsibility to ensure that this is happening. So I believe that this kind of an approach, wherein all the stakeholders are going after environment, they are ensuring that these things are taken care of, and obviously data centers. These are my two bets.
Great. So, Megha, if I may ask, are global enterprises now actively looking at workplace partners based on ESG and sustainability?
I think they always have, but I think earlier it was always pitched as a frill, a good to have, but now it is a fiduciary requirement. If you don't have a strong ESG, strong certifications as an occupier, as an operator, then you're not even entering the RFP process. You would know this really well. So it is very, very important that as a operator in the system, we work with partners, and Tablespace, at least from the very beginning, has been an enterprise operator. We only work with large global companies. And to that extent, these things are a non-negotiable on the table to even reach the table for the occupier to consider you as a brand that they want to partner with. So I think this will get even more stricter and more important as we move forward. And the stress continues. I think to Mr. Salil's point as well, saying there is a dearth of good asset in the market. There is a dearth of A++, well certified, green assets. Carbon credits is going to be a huge conversation in the future. Sustainability, we are touching very surface level. The things are going to really evolve in the future, where we are working on programs right now which say that if you operate out of this system or this facility, you're carbon neutral, you're generating carbon credits which you can trade later. I think you will reach a stage where companies will look at partners who are able to partner with them on their goals, not just be a tick mark activity saying okay aap green ho, okay LEED certified, but a lot more active partnership, because workspace does consume a lot of carbon footprint. So how can you work with your clients in a way that you're able to nullify that effect and give back to the environment? And companies who start working on this, both at the landlord side, operator side, are the ones I think will do really well in the future. Otherwise, it's like thinking that I am evaluating AI today as a marketeer. I'm already dead as a marketeer. So some of these things are I think really, really fast forward in some companies, and the day they launch their projects, they will wipe out a whole generation of companies who are still thinking about it.
Megha, one more very interesting point that comes to my mind. There's a lot of conversation I hear about GCCs talking of expanding into tier 2 cities. I mean, obviously, our tier 2 cities, when we look at the population, they're barely tier 2, but what kind of traction are you seeing from conversations with your clients on ground?
So, I think tier 2, like you, and you answered in your narrative itself, and Pranav also covered it in a large way, saying companies are looking for great talent. So when they're coming to India, it is not, like we said in the beginning, not a back office. It's a very clear talent conversation. Talent coupled with, I'm looking at real estate coming to me at a certain price, so I'm able to grow and scale. At the same time, larger campus structures where I'm able to build amenities and deliver them at a price which is doable for me as I'm entering into the country as well. So tier 2 offers great opportunity for a lot of GCCs coming into the country, and there will be a lot of growth happening in this space. And I think Pranav shared enough data points saying how some of our most premium markets are still under-indexed and how some tier 2 markets have so much potential, because what you don't have in terms of asset quality in tier 1, you will start getting in tier 2. Also, what is happening, and this is more learning from the industry, is one part is dearth of grade A inventory, but also how clients and operators are working with, say, grade B developers and working with them, partnering with them to move them to grade A buildings, setups, etc. I think that's also a large long-term project which will be very important, because one part is building new asset into the market, the other is how do we really up the quality of our existing assets so that we're able to meet the insane demand that's hitting our country today.
Salil sir, if actually this shift accelerates, how do you see the future of retail and mixed-use development beyond metros in the coming years?
Like Megha said, tier 2, tier 3 cities expansion will be an essential process in the future. You see, the thing is, lot many GCC coming to India. Now suppose, let's say example of Noida. I forecast around 5% of the total GCC market to be placed in Noida based on talent pool available and resources available. But Noida also has a limitation of the space end of the day. Right from Mahamaya to the airport, it will be filled very soon. And talent pool has another story, because talent, whosoever comes from other cities, 50% of their salaries, etc., they are spending on residences and food and beverage, F&B part. So, like if you take an example of a Lucknow, which is a tier 2 city, may I have the silence, please? Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Lucknow recently, if you see, Genpact has opened up their office. HCL has opened up their office. A lot many ITS companies are opening their offices, where overall salaries compared to the grade A city to the tier 2 city, the talent, similar talent is available at a lesser salaries, and talent is also happy to be stationed at their hometown. So, and over a period, Lucknow has also progressed very well. Indore has been a good example. They have progressed very well. Good talents are available there. And incidentally, if you see the UP, they are, if you see the whole UP, 22 crore population, then Noida, Lucknow and Gorakhpur, they have identified 3 places in future to be a part of GCC process. So government is also considering everything. So overall tier 2, tier 3, similarly, when these talents are there, then disposable income is there. So obviously the retail spaces will also evolve. I'll take an example of again Lucknow and Indore again once again. Indore, there is a good retail spaces available, and the sale is also very good over there. And Nagpur similarly. Our Pune has also evolved a very fast space in comparison for GCC and retail both. So as I said, the economy is rising, your GCC and retail, they are compensating each other in terms of their hand to hand, they will grow over a period of time definitely. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, before we bring this session to a close, it's a rapid fire question, each one or all of you together. What is the most misunderstood aspect of commercial real estate today?
Should I go first? Okay, just to come back to the tier two discussion, I'll just come back to that one-liner. But you missed out Jaipur, sir. Jaipur has the largest chartered accountants in that's the density of chartered accountants is the largest in Jaipur. And look at the 45 rupee rental that the city boasts. There are a lot of GCCs who are considering just moving to Jaipur because it's just 2 hours away from NCR. So I just wanted to. This is it, right? The most understated part of commercial real estate is the tier 2 story of India.
I'm going to stick to my domain on this one, and given I'm representing a flex operator on this panel, the most misunderstood piece about flex is all flex is co-working. I think it must have started with co-working, but co-working is such a small part of the larger flex landscape. 70% of flex stock is enterprise managed services, and that's going to be the one that's going to be defining the growth of flex in the larger commercial real estate segment. So my earnest request when I talk to media, etc., is always saying, let's call it flex. Let's not call it co-working, because laundry is a category, not detergent bar from an FMCG experience point of view.
See, the misunderstood thing about retail is that we are misunderstanding the power of low-income group people to go for a organized retail. There is a great power with them. And similarly, the power of high-end people also is highly misunderstood. India has a great wealth, provided we have a platform to sell. So both are misunderstood in India. We need to rectify that. Thank you.
From the light of a end user, the most misunderstood aspect of commercial real estate is, I think, the management and operations of how a commercial real estate operates from an end user point of view. This is the most difficult part. It looks very easy, but who's operating an A-grade asset, he knows the pains. So management, occupancy, good experience, and all this comes at a cost which is really not seen or visible to a consumer.
Thank you so much with that, Sriram. So with that, it brings us to the end of the session. Thank you, esteemed panelists, for sharing your perspectives, and thank you to the audience for staying engaged. Thank you very much, and wish you a good time here moving forward. Thanks.
Thank you, Hardeep. Thank you very much for this very insightful session. Although I kind of say that, one of the best motivators, and this is for you, Megha, one of the best motivators for me till date has still been money, but possibly you're looking at the other elements, कि हमें कुछ अच्छा facility नीचे मिलना चाहिए. I think that comes second. Still say that. So, and I think all of us would possibly agree to that. So all of us are working as professionals or, otherwise. So yeah, coming back to this, and we would like right now to felicitate all these people, the eminent personalities sitting on the stage. Can I invite Rajat Jain to come on the stage to do the honors, please? Can I have the first panelist, Hardeep Singh, my moderator? Rajat, please. Yeah. Can I have a round of applause, please? इसके बाद हम lunch के लिए break करने वाले हैं. Okay. Yeah. आवाज lunch के लिए है, sir. Great. Can I have Vijay Arora ji with us, please? Vijay Arora ji, please come. Yeah. Can we have a? Can we have this for Mr. Salil Kumar, please? Salil ji के लिए, please. Salil ji, please. Can I now invite Dharmeet ji to come and join us on the stage, please? Dharmeet ji, can you give this memento to my dear friend Sriram Monga? Can I now invite Renu to come on stage, please, to give the honors to Megha Agarwal, please. Can I have the memento and the token, please? And last but not the least, can I now invite Reema to come on stage and give the last one to Pranav Bhalla, please. Come. With this, we break for lunch, and I hope that when we come back, it'll be a much more interesting session. We have couple of sessions which are lined up after lunch. So one of them being fueling growth, capital, confidence, and the future of real estate financing. Like Dr. Bakshi said, can we have a group picture first? Can we have a group picture of all the panelists, please? Come on. Can we have a group picture for all the panelists with your mementos, please? That'll be nice. With your mementos. You don't have a memento? Yeah, okay. No problem. Can you hold any? So like I said, after the lunch, we have a couple of sessions lined up. One is fueling growth, capital, confidence, and the future of real estate financing. And the other one is reimagining the canvas through digital transformation, data, and AI, one of my digital transformation